Hey, welcome to Coaching with Criss. Please, I'm asking for a super huge favor. Make sure you share Coaching with Criss with your friends, with your coworkers, maybe someone new in the mortgage industry or real estate. Please share this out. It's so easy. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and of course, Coaching with Criss live here on StreamYard. So make sure you get this referred out. By the way, I woke up this morning and I was just like, yes, because I was so excited for today's episode. Being able to have a great conversation and interview an icon, a mentor, an amazing father, husband, leader. Like this guy, from the very first time that I got in the mortgage business, he was the first person I ever went to listen to. And I have just literally followed him ever since. Barry Habib, how are you?
It's really good to be here with you, Criss. You know, when you said you woke up excited this morning, I knew it couldn't have been because it was April 15th, tax day.
No, I didn't think about that. I actually didn't even think about it till right now when you said it. But yeah, it is tax day, isn't it?
Yes, it's good to be with you.
Good to be with you. So how are you, first of all? How are you doing?
So thankfully, I feel good. I feel really good. We're starting some new treatments this coming week. I'm flying out to LA, which I'm very incredibly blessed that through some connections, I'm going to see Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong. So he's quite famous. And then at MSK, I've got some stuff that we're starting next week. So we're praying, we're hoping. This is a stubborn thing that we're battling, but we're fighting. We're in it.
Yeah. I think about you a lot. It is something that runs through my family, and something that we don't get to decide, and we don't get these decisions. And so I do think about you. And since the last time, even that I saw you, which was probably a few months ago in Florida. So, a lot is happening in, uh, in this mortgage arena lately. A lot of uncertainties, um, a lot of loan officers think at one moment in time we've got it whooped, and then something else comes about, and then we have tariffs, and then we have maybe some news coming in that didn't like go our way. And as a person, as a leader like you that leads us through all of this stuff, I can't imagine the pressure of always trying to get it right, which you can't, because there's just ongoing changing things. How do you go through a day-to-day and dissecting this data? And do you feel the pressure of always trying to, I don't know, tell the future or what you think is going to happen? Like, how do you deal with that stuff?
So, it's a really good question. So first of all, yeah, we've been teased a few times, right? Back in August, we got real low, but it lasted so short. And then in September, we got teased again, and we thought, oh man, well, we're going to be in a good spot here, but that didn't last. And just recently, 10-year Treasury hitting 389, and we're our target for the year is 380. So we were like, wow, we came within a whisker of that as the low point. So we didn't think it would just last a day, though.
That's right.
But we got teased a little bit again. So from our standpoint, the way I look at things is that it was an interesting kind of little side story here. Is several years back, I learned how to juggle, and I'm okay. My son Dan is phenomenal. He's really. But I taught him. So when I
Okay.
learned how to juggle, one of the first things you learn is that you kind of have to learn to let the balls drop. And I asked, as a teacher for these things, I asked my teacher, I was like, why do you let the balls drop? He says, because if you're so freaked out and panicked that you got to catch every one, you'll never do a good job. You got to be okay with sometimes the balls are going to drop. So when you try and forecast the markets, you want to make really sound decisions. I mean, we never pulled numbers out of our ass.
Right.
Chris, we do a lot of work, and we go really deep. And anybody who watches our updates, you know that. I mean, I'm very
Yeah.
proud to say that we go a lot deeper. And the fact of it is most extremely well-known economists that you see on TV, they come to me for a lot of insight. So we're very, very blessed and fortunate, including a lot of people in government now that do that. So
Mm,
we know that our models are good, but they don't always work because things come out of the blue. I mean, how do
right.
you forecast, tariffs on, tariffs off, and how do you like I've made some really terrible forecasts, and I've made some really good forecasts too. So, and I'm sure that I'll get some stuff wrong in the future, and I'm hopeful that I'll get some stuff right too. I just hope to be right a lot more than I'm wrong. That's the whole thing, and that's when you know your model's working. So
Yeah.
uh, we've nailed it on real estate. I mean, we're one of the pretty much the only ones who have been as consistently as accurate. And I'm not just saying that; that's just statistical. That's factual, and we've won awards for that. On the interest rate side, I mean, we've done a really good job on the day to day, but there's things you don't see coming. Chris, you
Yeah.
just we thought that back in 2023 rates would head down, and then what comes out of the blue is you get a banking crisis, and you get a debt deal, and you get a downgrade, and it's like, okay, it wasn't on our bingo card, so rates went up when we thought they were going down. Last year we were pretty darn close on where rates were, so we did a pretty good job there. And so far this year, we've been pretty spot on. But you have to be okay with the fact that you're going to get them wrong. It's so funny because when you do, people are going to be critical, and I guess I deserve people being critical. But I hope that people understand that these are based upon doing lots of work that more often than not are correct, and that you just can't foresee what you can't see.
Yeah, yeah. It's not like you're shaking that little black 8 ball, and then it would say something to you, and you're like, "Oh, well, I guess this will be what it'll be. I'll tell everybody this today." Like you do a lots of behind the scenes research, maybe even more than I even know, to even before you even make a comment. And and then to be able to have something like go left or right, I can see for me even making moves and hedge, and we think that we need to be long or we think we should be short, and then we get it wrong. Make that. I'm hard on myself, but I still make that, and I think you're right. As long as I can be right more than I'm wrong, I'm doing a good job. Wouldn't that be what something we'd ask of a financial planner?
Yeah, well, any of the stock pickers you see on TV, nobody, the best of the best of the best, nobody's 100% right. There's just legends out there. Warren Buffett's made a shit ton of mistakes. So,
Yeah.
you know, you are going to you're going to have to deal with change and maneuverability. So when we make a decision like that, just to bring a little bit behind the scenes, there are technical factors, and I'm very proud to say that I believe that my technical analytical skills are very good. I was taught by some really special people. The guy who brought Japanese candlesticks to the U.S., Steve Nissen, personally taught me and trained me. So
Wow.
so, and then of course on the Western candlesticks, I've learned from many mentors, and I feel like we have good skills there, but they're
Mhm.
not all right, right? And then there's fundamentals.
Mhm.
And not only do we think we have a reasonable good handle on the fundamentals, I've got access to some of the brightest minds and legends that are out there that are my friends that I talk to very frequently. When you could pick up the phone and you could talk to Lacey Hunt, David Rosenberg, John Malden, the Peter Bookvar, Danielle DiMartino, just so many people that I normally just chat with and talk to. You would think that you get some good insights on that, but that doesn't work all the time either.
Right.
So we really try to piece it together, but there are things that just will come out of the blue and surprise you. Thankfully, I think that we've done a good job of getting it to the point where more often than not, significantly more often than not, the direction that we are looking at tends to be reasonably correct.
Yeah. Well, and you look what you've built with MBS Highway, but just absolutely incredible, and the amount of value that you give to all of us out there. And thank you for you and your team because
Well,
I mean we do rely on you. Go back, go back for a sec. But I know we want to talk about the real estate market for sure. M- maybe we'll talk about interest rates. Always everybody wants to know about that stuff. But Barry's story, like how in the world did you get to this spot at where you are today? Like, did you start off as an originator, or were you in investments? Were you trading bonds? Like, how did you actually get to this spot?
Well, thank you for that, first of all. And first, God deserves credit, and I am very grateful and very blessed to have had some levels of being put in positions to achieve some things. So I'm very grateful for that.
Hmm.
And by the way, we have an incredible team. I've surrounded myself with wonderful people. People at MBS Highway are just wonderful. So this is by no way, shape, or form a one person show. There is a wonderful group of people that I have, but I've always tried to surround myself with good people. When I was a kid, and whatever I was doing, I tried to have people that were good influences, that were smart, that we can help each other and we can help each other grow. And I took that to business, and my mortgage company. And yes, I was an originator. I thought I was a pretty successful originator. Back when I was originating, which my career started in the mid '80s to mid 2000s, so about 20 years, a little over 20 years. I did 2 billion in
Wow.
origination and closing. So it was just me and one assistant too. I had
Wow.
same assistant for 18 years.
Did you
Uh,
sleep, Barry? Did you sleep?
the refi times I remember, back in the day, everything was manual. So you had
Yeah.
files stacked up, and you just pick one and call them, pick one and call them. So
Yeah.
it was way back in the uh, low tech
Yeah.
era, and then it kind of evolved into it. So yeah, it was a lot of hard work. And then as we tried to build other companies or whatever it was, when I got into the entertainment world, when I got into the medical imaging world, surrounding yourself with great people is so important. So all of us, that's an important lesson as a team. And then opportunity is, I believe that we all have, and if you look back, a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
And the difference, Chris, is A, seeing it, and then B, acting upon it. Now, you don't want to
So
act
good.
upon every opportunity, right? You don't want to act upon every one. You have to evaluate it, but it all starts with seeing it. And you know what a secret to seeing it is, Chris, is state of mind. So,
Hmm.
um, we all have reason every day to get pissed off. I mean, every single one of us does, whether it's the market, whether it's your significant other, your kid pisses you off, somebody cuts you up on the road. We all have reason to get pissed off. But if we remain in a state of mind that is not a state of mind that is, grateful, and I mean that. I'm not just saying that. I start every day, Chris, with literally saying out loud all the things I'm grateful for,
Hmm.
and I thank God every day for this dream life. I'm struggling with a very, very difficult form of cancer, but even with that, I feel like I'm the luckiest guy out there
Hmm.
that I have all of these other things. So, you know, I think it's a decision that we make, Chris, where look, I am now extreme. I've always known, we all know that our days here are not infinite, right? We only have a
Right.
certain amount of time here, right?
Yes.
But you battle something like I'm battling, it makes you very keenly aware of that. Now, there are probably people who, when dealt a unfortunate set of circumstances, would be very negative, bitter, pissed. Um, but I'm saying, boy, if there's a limit that I am, going to have,
Mhm.
I don't want to spend it pissed off. I want
Hmm.
to spend it enjoying every day and being happy and bringing joy to others and being relevant and meaningful and doing things that
Hmm.
I'm going to be proud of. My kids are going to be proud of, and that's allowed me to get through these battles. And was difficult with chemo, and these other treatments are not easy,
Right.
but it's allowed me to get through that and try to still be very productive. So when you have that kind of state of mind, Chris, tying it back to opportunity,
Yeah.
you can see opportunities. If
Hmm.
you're in a pissed off state of mind, there's a few things that happen.
Hmm.
One is people don't really want to be around you. Number one, okay. So
Very true.
if you want to be if you want to be successful from a selfish point of view, you have to change your state of mind regardless of the negative circumstances, because every single person has them.
Yeah.
It's just how do they deal with them. Every single person you talk to, and we all experience stress at a different level. We get overwhelmed. It could be stressful. I mean, we all can feel stress. If we can be strong enough mentally to say, okay, I got this shitty thing going on here, but you know what? I'm not going to let it interfere with my relationship with my children, my significant other, my business associates, my friends. I am going to compartmentalize this bad thing and be the best version of me I could be here. And then what you do is you just draw people to you with that, because people
Mm.
are they want to be around somebody, somebody who's joyful and happy. I mean, and not a bullshit way. Okay. A real, really grateful and, looks at things in a positive light. That's a good influence on others. You're a freaking magnet. You draw people to you, and that you almost can't help be successful, but you also are in a state of mind that allows you to, right in front of you, see opportunities because you're not pissed off. You're not in a
Right.
shit place. You can now
Yeah.
see things, and then you can say, okay, well, I could take that opportunity. What can I do with it? When I was a kid, I'm sorry for this, keeping wrangling
By
here,
the
but it's
way,
good.
I needed this on Sunday when I
Okay.
got mad at my wife because I wanted to watch the Masters. Now I feel like a real jerk now. I wanted to watch the Masters and she wanted to help power washing the back patio. And I got really mad. And now I feel like, why did I get really mad about that? Who cares? It's just a stupid deal. I could have recorded, I could have done everything else, but I made a decision, I made a choice. And so when you're talking about seeing it or doing it, like I think I've made choices which blocked me from seeing things.
Well, you know what, Chris?
And I needed this today.
Oh, well, thank you, brother. Well, you know what? We all get pissed off. It's natural. The trick is to get out of the state of mind. Okay. How many times have you been around somebody and they get in a bad mood or a bad state of mind? And it's like that for a very long time and they just can't snap out of it. It's not getting into the pissed off state. We all do. You can't help that. That's the reaction. The mental strength
Hmm.
comes from being able to get yourself out of it and snap back into a positive frame of mind, or at least a good frame of mind where you can have good, solid interactions that are meaningful, that are joyful. Because, look, the way that, I mean, how many Sundays in our life do you have to spend,
Right.
right? I mean, just think about
Right.
that. How many, if you look at it that way, well, then whether you watch the Masters, you don't watch the Masters, whatever it is, you just want to be in a good situation, right? In a good
Right.
place. Maybe there's a place you could compromise. Maybe there's a place where you give in. Maybe there's a place where the other person gives. But can you do it in a way that is joyful? Can you do it in a way that
That's right.
is playful? Can you do it
Yeah.
in a way that is is really loving and positive, and not just with your significant other? I mean, with everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I think of the times of how many really super talented people that I work with that are pissed and it's blocks their vision to go do great things. And what a great reminder. So the transferring of seeing it and doing it though. Like, yes, seeing it is one thing, but I'm seeing a lot of originators, Barry, that like they get frozen when it comes to the part of actually doing it. Why is
Oh,
that?
you're so right. You're so right, because of fear. The
Mm.
fear comes into play. And if you fill your mind with all of the negatives, it becomes really clouded and it's very difficult to see the path. Like right now, all of us in the mortgage industry are faced with a much more difficult road than not just the great times that we had, but normal times that we've experienced. If we've been in it for a long time, this is one of the
Right.
more challenging. And not only is it more challenging, but it is endured. Okay, it has been now 3 years, coming up on right now 3 years of of a very difficult environment. But some people are still succeeding and succeeding, very, very favorably. So, what if you're looking for that success right now? I mean, first of all, you got to get your state of mind right because you want to be a
Right.
magnet, you want to draw people in, right? And then, what are you doing every day to get yourself better? Just, I mean, you should ask, everybody should ask that question, right? You might think, or somebody might think, and they may be very kind to me and they say, well, I might say something like, well, Barry's kind of knows a little bit about the markets and he's, pretty good on that stuff. Well, I'm a student every day. Every day I'm trying to get sharper there. Every single day. I work really, really hard to increase my knowledge base when faced with cancer. You go back about a year, I knew nothing about it, but now I have worked really, really hard to where anytime I speak to someone, they actually think I'm a doctor. So if I could get to the point where in what now, by the way, it's not like life has stopped. All these treatments, businesses, and there's few businesses that I run, family, things like so I'm very busy as
Yeah.
well. But still, in the last year, I have dedicated time to gain expertise in a subject that is difficult and challenging. So if 1 year I could be considered talking to a doctor, I mean, I just spoke to Patrick Soon-Shiong, right? This guy who's just interviewed by Tucker Carlson. I mean, uh, many of the people here have seen the podcast, right? He actually thought I was a physician. Okay, I mean, this is like the top guy. Okay,
Right.
I'm going to see him next week, and um, it made for a meaningful discussion because I was able to. The guy's time. What is the most valuable commodity in the world? It's time.
Yeah.
So if he's going to give me his time, it can't be a freaking, it's I was freaking on point and sharp and gave him the entire medical history and all the pertinent things. He's like, well, there's things we're going to need, like, we need your absolute lymphocytes and your absolute neutrophil count and the ratio. I gave it to him like that. I mean, I knew it off the top of my head. He was like shocked. Okay. But what it did was it made, and there was so many other things, all my
Yeah.
SUV ratings that made for a meaningful discussion. So now, Criss, here's the thing is that, in baseball, and if you don't follow baseball, I'll just kind of explain this to you.
Okay.
The whole thing is that as if you're trying to hit a baseball, it's a hard thing. But you know
Right.
what makes it infinitely easier? If you know the type of pitch that's coming to you. And essentially there's two things. There's a fastball, which means it's coming in, pretty much at a higher speed, or an off-speed pitch, which means there's some deception and it might move, but it comes to you at a lower speed. And it's not so much the movement, but it's the speed that causes you to miss the baseball. And that's what is the game of chess between a pitcher and a hitter is what is he thinking I'm going to throw? Because the instantaneous, the time it takes to get there, you have to be thinking that's what he's going to throw me and act to it that way. Or, if you get it right, you can have more success. If you don't get it right, you'll have less success.
Yeah.
So it's cheating in baseball if you steal the sign from the catcher to the pitcher and you know what's coming, because then you'll have enormous success. There have been teams in the past that have got caught cheating and whatnot. So it greatly improves your odds. But it is not cheating if you're a mortgage originator to know the question that every client is going to ask you.
Hmm.
Every single one of you listening who's in the mortgage business or in the real estate business, the following dialogue will happen. So, Criss, tell me, is a good time to buy right now? I'm here. This talk about recession. It's kind of, I heard Diana Olick say that recession is coming and it's bad for housing. There was just an article in Realtor.com that said recessions cause home prices to decline. I don't want that. I don't want another crash like my parents lived through. I don't want that. What does the market look like? And by the way, what do you think about interest rates? Where are interest rates headed? Is
Right.
this a good time to buy?
It's the best time.
The question's coming. And every single one of you get it from every single client. The pitch is coming.
Yes.
But even if you know this,
So good. So good.
how many of you are scripted to answer the question? It's like cheating on a test in school. You should ace the test if you know the question, right?
Yes.
If you knew the questions to the test, how do you possibly fail?
Right.
But mortgage originators are failing today because they are not scripted in answering the most basic question. Let me tell you the fastest way in sales to increase your income. It's one thing. You close more of the sales and the opportunities that you already have. Take conversations into applications or conversations into contracts if you're a realtor. That is it. I don't want you to spend $1 million, $1,000, $100, or $10. Be more effective. The greater efficacy, the more your bank account grows. It's that simple. The
For sure.
more money you make. And then it snowballs. You cannot help but be more successful because your efficacy will cause more referrals.
Yeah.
It is the simplest, most beautiful, easiest way. So how do you do that? You do that by gaining trust. And while there's trust, and we can go deeper in a separate conversation about vulnerability and trust and how that all works. It's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to say one thing that builds trust for every single one of us, it's your wisdom. If
Hmm.
somebody feels like they're gaining wisdom from you, they will be more engaged and they will tend to trust you more because our brain is such a wonderful thing. The brain is already thinking behind the scenes subconsciously, okay, this person really knows what they're talking about.
Hmm.
They're making sense. I understand them. So I love the communication. So that's a good thing. But this means that they mean business. They are educated. They take their job seriously. They're going to probably do a good job for me, and they're probably going to guide me better. Now, that's all going to happen in the first 2 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, you know the question's coming. So how do most people answer it, Chris? Well, market's pretty good. Rates, ha. If I knew where rates are going, I'd have a pina colada with
Yeah.
you. Ha.
Oh, sure. Right.
That is that's an answer,
Terrible answer.
but you have not taken advantage of knowing the question. See, if you were to be scripted upon this, and how do you get scripted? You get scripted with a little bit of work. You get scripted with it. I mean, isn't anything in life, look, the fact that it takes some work to do it, you should
Yeah.
thank God that it's a little bit difficult to do it. Why? Because if it was so easy, everyone else would be stealing your business and beating you. The fact that it takes a little bit of work, it gives you a chance to improve yourself and beat them. And
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it. That's the
Yes.
simplicity of it. So, what do you have to do? You have to become educated on how to answer those questions. So what do you do? So first, let's take the first thing they're concerned about. They're concerned about, is this a good time to buy, and
Yep.
recessions in the long run. Okay, so you can take a look. We put all this out there for everybody every day.
Yep.
So this is not a commercial for us, but I'm just saying this is what we try to do all the time. But do you know that during the last 50 years, during the 7 recessions, 6 times real estate values went up? So recessions are actually good for
Yeah.
the housing market. The one time was because we were doing loans with no income, no asset, no job, zero down payment, and a 580 FICO score. It was a different environment. We don't do that anymore, which is why during the last recession, home values went up. So all of this stuff that they're putting out there to get clicks from Diana Olick and from Realtor.com, they have no clue, and they've never probably lived through it firsthand. Okay, so they have no understanding of it. You now do, and you can show that, and you can show the charts, and you can show the facts. Beat bullshit with facts. So now you've already started to gain their confidence, right? And then what about the market conditions? Inventory's gone up. It's gone up, yeah, but from the lowest historical levels. If you look where we were pre-pandemic, do you know inventory levels are still 25% down and we've gained 12 million more people across the United States? We
Mm.
are forming, we're forming, Chris, the last 5 years, the United States has averaged 1.8 million households formed, but we're
Okay.
only building about 1.5 million. No wonder why real estate values continue to go up. Now, what about interest rates and affordability? Well, how about 39% of the housing market is cash, and the rest have an average LTV of 55%. So, what does this tell you? This tells you that to a great extent, there's insulation from higher rates and less attractive affordability. It doesn't mean it's a good thing, but what it does is it tells you if I'm trying to forecast home values, which we have done very well, and I
Yeah.
think one of the areas that
Very
we've
well.
nailed that other people forget is that 39% of the market's insulated from that. So a very significant portion of 2 out of 5 buyers don't give a shit where rates are because they're not going to use a mortgage. In fact, they like higher rates because they get more money on their income that they receive from interest payments to them from
Yes.
investments that they make in things like bonds. So when you try to answer questions for your customers, when you start talking like they'll give you another one. Now, do you know that in the last 83 years, home values have gone up 76 of those 83 years? Only and there was one period, was 5 years in a row during that one bad spell because of the stupid loans that were being done. Only one other time it was down fractionally less than 1%. Otherwise, it's been up. So picking real estate values to go up every year, it's almost a sure thing. I mean, you could look like a genius forecaster by saying, hey, real estate values are going to be higher because think about the basics, right? You get more homes that are needed, less homes that are built, not enough inventory, and you have a situation where a good portion of the market's insulated from that. So when you put all of this together, you can say, okay, well, it looks like home values are going to go up. But when it goes up year to year, it's not that every year it does this evenly. During the course of the year, it's
Yeah.
doing this. There are actually periods of time where values go down. So year on year, it goes up. But do you know that the best time to buy a home to get the most appreciation is April? Guess what month we're in? We're in April.
We're in
And we have
April.
a chart like that. You show that chart. And then people who are on the fence, who are thinking about it, you show it to your realtor, you show it to your customer. This is the best time to buy. We show this every March and April to everybody because this is the best time to be a buyer. Now, think about it. That's 17% of the marketplace. You have ammunition that you can go out and show people. Okay. Now, the other 83% of the time, you can show year over year, you still make progress, but you can really get people off the fence to do it. And then, as far as
So
interest
good.
rates go, interest rates, Chris, we have to understand the marketplace. Now it's kind of clouded with tariffs, but do you guys understand tariffs? Do you understand them? Did you understand what happened last week with the basis trade? I mean, very few people do. We break it down for our subscribers, and our subscribers
Yes.
look like geniuses. But this is what creates that. This is what creates the bond between the person who is telling you the story and the person who's listening. Because
Yeah.
now, if you tell it to them, they become engaged. They trust you more because you're giving them wisdom. Information's everywhere, but wisdom is a valuable commodity that people will pay for. You have to decide, what business am I in? Am I regurgitating information, or I am in the wisdom business where people are coming to me for my wisdom? And you gain that slowly. Remember, I told you with cancer, I knew nothing,
Hmm.
nothing. But in a year, I'm presumed to be a physician. So if you are saying you know nothing about the market right now, okay, maybe tomorrow you know a little more than nothing. But if you keep working on it and you're serious about it, 6 months from now, talking to you is going to be a very different story. And you know how fast 6 months go. 6 months from now,
Right.
do you want to be in the same place you're in? Or 6 months from now, do you want to be regarded as an expert and
Yeah.
someone who's got wisdom? Do you want to be closing more loans, making more money, saving more money, buying nicer things, achieving things in life for you and your family? It's a decision. Just
Yeah.
like being joyful and grateful is a decision and not being pissed off. So is really wanting to be successful. It's easy to say, I want to be successful, but
Yeah.
do you really want to be successful? Are
Yeah.
you willing to go a little bit further than somebody else is? And the only person that can answer that is you.
Yeah. And you talk about you want to be an expert and you want help and a place to go to research. I think that's probably what MBS Highway has done a really good job with is that it's one spot where you can really work on yourself to become an expert, from your charts to debt service analyzing. Like, it's endless of all the different tools that you can do inside your site. Is there anything new coming that you're going to be adding to MBS Highway that maybe would be a teaser for someone that is thinking about or on the fence that wants to be a new member?
Yeah, constantly new things, but constantly we're
Yeah.
always creating new things. We just released a strike rate tool, which will make people millions and millions of dollars if
Oh, I
all
love
they
that.
do. Yeah, if all they do is just use the strike rate, and it's automatically built in. You don't have to do anything for it, but you get notifications when it's time to refinance somebody. So that's a very exciting one that we've just completed development on. But also, the main thing is just watch the daily update 10 minutes in the morning. I mean, now
Right.
we get about 15,000. We have that only represents about half the subscriber base, which is crazy to me. Why not everybody watches it every day? But if if you watch that 10-minute update every morning
Yeah.
religiously. I mean, what else you got? What do you want to do? You want to read 10 periodicals? Do you want to, subscribe to 18 different things? You want to watch CNBC for 3 hours? Or do you want to, in 10 minutes, take it from somebody who understands the mortgage industry, understands the mortgage professional, and takes everything that's out there and makes it easy to understand and probably analyzes it better than the vast majority of people out there in 10 minutes? I
Yeah.
mean, there's not a better 10 minutes for education that you could spend every day. And at the end of 6 months, at the end of a year, you wind up being able to have conversations where you can talk about all the things that will grow your business. The best way to do it by converting more of the conversations into transactions.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Barry, I got to ask, where are we headed for the rate side, second and third quarter? You think we're going to hang out in this range? You think maybe uh, recession will show itself a little bit and we'll see some bond movement, or you know
Yeah,
what's going through your head today?
so here's the problems that we have with this is the uncertainty of where are we going to be? And forget about all the tit for tat stuff. One with China and the US. Once you reach 50% tariffs, you pretty much shut down trade anyway. So okay, it's 84%, it's 120, it's
Right.
meaningless. It's just window dressing. Once you get to 50%, you essentially make trade not viable for the most part. Now, bigger companies have the ability to pivot easily. Maybe not super easy, but over time. And if there is a period of time it takes to pivot, they typically are well enough positioned financially to kind of have a little bit of a downturn and then let me find some alternatives. You always adapt. What
Every
I
time.
worry about is smaller businesses, Chris,
Mm,
that lose a supply chain and they don't have the deep pockets to get this downturn. Now, again, that creates opportunities. That create opportunities for buyers. That create opportunities to help people. Does that create opportunities to find things? There are always opportunities created here.
mhm.
So chaotic periods of time are very rich, opportunistic periods. You just have to look for them and see them and think about them. We just don't spend a lot of time thinking. We spend a lot of time reacting. We don't spend a lot of time thinking. And I
Yeah.
think that was that's one of the things that I'm very proud of myself that I actually dedicate time to actually think on things, just to,
Mm.
some people say I'll sleep on it. Well, sleeping is hard. When you're awake, please think about it. Okay. Just think really hard and examine things. Um, so I think that is going to be um, a wild card there because um, you would think sensibly the US and China should come to an agreement. But, these are men, these are people that surround men and women that have egos
Yep.
that, they put their pants on one leg at a time if they're wearing pants, and
That's right.
um, this is something that is it's hard to understand and imagine. Now, I was privy to have a discussion with Elon Musk last Friday. I
Wow.
spoke to him a couple of times. He's really nice.
Huh.
And I'm not getting political here. So if anybody's going to
Yeah.
start with the political bullshit, please stop. Okay. I'm just trying
Okay.
to learn. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so I asked him point blank about Doge because look, and it's not. I don't care if you agree with Doge, you don't agree with Doge. This is not what this is about. This is about
Yep.
we have a big deficit. It's $2 trillion deficit, and that means we have to issue a lot of treasuries. The more supply you issue, the higher rates are. Right. So look at what happened in 2023. It's one of the reasons we got the call wrong because there was a debt deal that was struck where $2 trillion came to market and the bond market took a shit. Okay. So
Right.
this is why we have to think of these things. He told me that he still thinks you can get $1 trillion out of it. Now, I don't know if you can, you can't. And I'm not saying whether you agree or you disagree, but the bond market would respond well if you did that. And the one point he did say, he said, Barry, think about it this way. Whatever we get, it's an annuity because that's a cut that that's a cut that you would get every year to the deficit. So he has a point. Now, presuming we don't blow the deficit out with other things, okay? I understand it's a Rubik's Cube, okay? I get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I'm not naive. But I also asked him, I said, well, as far as the tariffs go, let me try and ask him. I've spoken to Howard Lutnick a couple of times. I've spoken to Scott Bessent as well.
Mhm.
And what I asked Elon was this. I said, so tell me, was it part of the whole master plan to put these crazy, high tariffs on everybody from the Rose Garden when you went with that chart and all these big tariffs and then back off of it? But still, if you think about it, what did they do? They left the 10% baseline tariff. So they are collecting a tariff. They're collecting a lot of money from it. And again, I'm not getting political here. I'm just trying to say what it was, is what I
Yep.
asked him.
Yep. Yep.
And said, okay, but now there's no retaliation for it. So it's in essence, it's like almost the person that comes home from college and says, "Oh yeah, I got arrested for this and that. And, I got hooked up with drugs." And the parents said, "Oh my God, no!" He said, "I'm just kidding. No, I just failed science." So they're like, "Phew, that's okay."
Oh,
But
that's okay. That's okay.
yeah, all these countries are okay with a 10% tariff. There's no retaliation. In fact, many countries are coming back and making concessions. Now, I don't know if that was the plan. So I figured, let me ask Elon Musk. And he just smiled and he said, I'm not at liberty to discuss the president's negotiation tactics. But the smile told me a little bit about it,
Sure.
So when you think about where rates are heading, a lot has to do with how does China respond?
Yep.
If China doesn't respond well, there's a greater percentage of a of a recession. If there's a recession, we should see lower interest rates. But even if there's not a recession, inflation has been performing well, but watch the unemployment rate.
Mhm.
Unemployment is right now 4.2. There's a lot of indications and signals that the unemployment rate should continue to rise. It's gone from 4 to 4.1 to 4.2. That will be a big tell for us. And if we start to see unemployment become in that 4.4, 4.5, some friends of mine see 4.7. Lacey Hunt, who's brilliant, sees 4.7 on the unemployment rate. We're closer to 4.4, 4.4, 4.5.
Yep.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope Lacey's right. Um, that would definitely help the interest rate environment. Now, here's what we learned, Chris. We don't need 3%. We don't need
No,
4%. We don't even need 5%. Heck, we get to 6%. What we've learned is activity spikes at 6%.
it does.
So, and people should know this. I want to just give you some numbers. It's really good because I want to give you some encouragement here.
Yeah.
I know the rates have gone up to about 7, but we did get down to around 6.5, maybe even a little less, depending on where you are, for very too short of a period of time. At 6%, it's not that far away, and it can happen quick. At 6%, there are 6 million eligible refinances and real eligible refinances. We've done the math on this. Now, I want to put it in context for you. In 2024, the entire purchase market was 4 million purchases, of which 2.85 had a mortgage. So every purchase mortgage in the United States added up to 2.85 million loans in 2024. Here, you've got purchases in 2025, and you've got an additional 6 million refinances eligible. So if you're discouraged, if you're thinking about, what's my viability in this business? What I'm going to tell you here is, hey, get better. Don't give up.
Yeah.
Take advantage of the coming opportunity. It's going to happen. And when it happens, it's going to happen quick. You need to be ready. You need to use the strike rate. You need to have your ducks in a row. You should be calling every one of your clients now and making sure that you have a strike rate lined up with them. So when it happens, you're not scrambling and looking for customers. How many of you blew it in August, in September, and last week when rates came down and gave you the opportunity? Did you refinance everybody? You probably didn't because you were flat footed. But if you are prepared, and now's the time for preparation. So when business is slow, this is where you make yourself better, and this is where you prepare, because the
Yeah.
next wave is coming. What would a great strategist do? What a great battle general do? They use these times to think ahead. Ask, are you playing checkers in one move at a time here and there? Or are you playing chess? Are you thinking 3 steps down the line?
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
What's 3 steps down the line? Rates are going to come down. I want to line up every one of my customers for that. Am I really, really sharp? So when I have a greater amount of conversations, I will close more of them quickly. This is
Yes.
the time to build for your future.
Yeah. That is so true. Barry, this has been really good, but the thing that I really needed to hear today is seeing it. Because you can't do it until you see it. And I think sometimes our own selves get involved and then we don't see it. And seeing it even goes back to just what you just said, which is getting prepared, getting ready so that you can seize the opportunity in front of you. And if you can't see it, you're never going to be able to go get it. What a great message today.
Oh,
What a
thank you,
great
man. Thank
message.
you. Listen, Chris, I have such respect for you and everything that you have done for our industry. You
Hmm.
are a great leader. You're not just successful, but you help others succeed. And I admire that so much from you, my friend. So I want to just personally thank you for all the good that you do for our industry and all the help that you so unselfishly provide to others, Chris. So God bless you and thank you for all you do. And if I could just say to the people listening, first of all, so many of you have been so kind to me and so supportive of me. I don't even want to talk too much about it because I can get emotional and I don't want to embarrass myself here. But I have deep gratitude and appreciation for you. I am telling you, you have no idea how much it means to you and to me, and how grateful I am, and how it has helped me and continues to help me to battle this. To know that there are wonderful people that are so kind and supportive.
Yeah. I'm grateful for you, Barry. I'm grateful for you for it's 2020 when I first listened and first got to listen to you, and just everything that you have done, and your words, your encouragement, just just sometimes just 2 or 3 words that you've said to me in passing, and how much that has just made a huge difference to me. So Barry, thank you. Uh, I'm always thinking about you, and I wish you the best, my friend. Thank you.